Hello, welcome to Take 10 on Tuesdays with the Tennessee Tribune. I'm Sandra Long-Weaver. I'm the editorial director for the Tennessee Tribune, and our guest today is a very special one. She is the publisher of the Tennessee Tribune. Welcome, Mrs. Rosetta Miller Perry. This is the first time I've been able to get you to be on Take 10 on Tuesdays.
Well, thank you.
And she's here to talk about her book, Getting the Word Out, African American Women Publishers in the United States. So, we want to talk about her book today. This is the first time that a book of this type has ever been done in this country. So tell me a little bit about what led you to do this book and why. And let me back up one moment. Mrs. Miller Perry is the first and only female African American publisher of a newspaper in Tennessee.
Thank you. I decided to write this book after many years, at least 24 years, of participating with our national organization, the National Newspaper Publishers Association, and attending those meetings. There are many, many, many women.
Right.
But basically, most people in America think that most of the newspapers are owned by men.
Yes.
Whether they're white or African Americans. But in our race, that is not so. After talking with many of the women, I found out most of them have done so many things that people should really know about and be proud of.
Okay.
With all the things that I have done, and I was beginning to put my thoughts down for a book about my life. And then I thought about all of these women, many who have done so much more than what I have done, but nobody knows about it.
And so you decided that it was time to get the word out.
Yes.
And let people know exactly what has gone on.
Yes.
Now this is the first time you've published a book, but you've been publisher of the Tennessee Tribune, Contempora magazine,
Yes.
for 24 years.
Yes.
And you started really at a hard time when newspapers are not really coming out. And the Tennessee Tribune is a weekly newspaper. And what led you to even start the newspaper?
Because I was really tired of reading about crime in our neighborhood. In the majority press, right here in Nashville, we would always read about who was shot, who was killed, and things like that. And I felt that people in Nashville, the entire community, should know who we really are.
Right.
We're not about crime and, hustling women and things like that.
Which is what was primarily portrayed.
Yes. In my travels, my husband and I, overseas, when I would meet, like in England, people, they would always want to know about crime in your neighborhood, which was embarrassing to me. There are two things they talked about: crime and Dr. Bobby Jones. Everybody knew Dr. Bobby Jones.
Is that right?
That
Wow.
was the good part, you know. And I just feel like if I portrayed who we really were, then there would be other things that people would realize, that we're educators,
Right.
doctors, lawyers, teachers, So I wanted people to know who we really are.
Okay.
And I think since that time, the majority press portrays us a little different.
And you feel part of it is the reason,
Oh,
the
yes.
competition and how things are presented in the
Yes.
black press
Right.
in Nashville.
I know when I
especially.
first started the newspaper, the majority press would always put African American professionals back by their obituary page,
Oh, really?
which was an insult. The last time that happened, they put the inauguration of the president of Fisk University back by the obituary page, and it really made me angry.
Wow.
It was just
Okay.
insulting. And so I just decided to do something about it.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you have, and have been continually doing it for 24 years.
Yes.
And this book, which I think is pretty amazing, shows that you're not alone. And I
Right.
think there are about 60 African American women who you've identified in the book.
There are really more than 60. Those
Mhm.
those are just the 60 that I could get a hold of.
Oh, okay.
But we have more than that.
Okay, all right.
Closer to 100.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And you've also been able to do some history
Mm-hmm.
of African American women in the 1800s.
Yes.
Ida B. Wells,
Right.
who started newspapers, and Ida B. Wells tracked the lynchings that were going on in Memphis.
Right.
And, so you were able to give us a little history about that.
Yes.
But why focus on the women? Is that because I know the National Newspaper Association does have quite a few men who are
Yes.
members, but you focused on the women.
Well, because we've been ignored. And the other thing is that we're not only publishers,
Mm-hmm.
but we're mothers, we're wives,
Mhm.
grandmothers, great-grandmothers.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, we belong to sororities,
Mm-hmm.
so many organizations, and we're very political. Now, that is really not the case with our fellow male publishers.
Oh, it isn't?
They
That's
don't.
different? Mhm.
They may belong to maybe a fraternity or so,
Mhm.
but not like the women.
Mhm.
As you know, we belong to everything
Right.
and still publish a newspaper.
Mhm.
And I just think that's just something everybody ought to know.
Mhm.
That we're not just putting out that newspaper. We are the community.
Right. You're the backbone
Right.
in many cases of the community, and still getting the word out every week.
Right.
And giving opportunities to young people for internships and
Yes.
getting them into the business.
Yes.
So
And
that's a
some
great
of the
thing.
publishers, they have radio stations. They just do lots of things, and
Mhm.
people just should know that.
Mhm. And the Tribune has a radio station
Yes.
as well,
Yes.
which is on the internet.
Yes.
So you can turn into www.tn Tribune
Right.
and get information from there.
Yes.
So are there other plans now? You've published a book. Are you going to continue to put your thoughts together for your own autobiography?
I'm still working on that.
Okay.
And our national president has asked me to perhaps write a book about all of the publishers.
Oh.
Now that's going to be a task, because when you put all the men and all the women together, that's a lot of work.
It is a lot.
And it'll be a lot of work for the staff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't pretend that I do all the work.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be where I am today had it not been for people helping me.
Mm-hmm.
And my staff is just tremendous.
Wow.
If I say work till 2 a.m, they work. If
Till
there's
2
an
in the
activity
morning.
in the community,
Right.
they have to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't get paid either, and they do it with a smile. Now, I
And
don't know
it's a
how
good
they
thing.
smile. I don't know if they smile behind my back. But
Oh, but that's a good thing. All right. So now, getting the word out. So when are you going to get the book out so this can be shared with the community?
I'm not sure. I've
Mhm.
already been to Chicago
Mhm.
and to Detroit, and here in Nashville, I'll be at Tea and Conversation,
Yes. On October 3rd,
October 3rd,
which
you're
will
right.
be at the Patricia Hart Building.
Right.
So
And then in February,
the
I'll have the
literary
book with
luncheon.
the literary luncheon.
With Lejean's Literary Luncheon, the annual
Yes.
event. So.
And the speaker will be Dorothy Lavelle.
Oh, wonderful. And tell us a little bit about Dorothy, who is on the cover of the book.
Oh, a wonderful person.
Mhm.
She was one of the first female chairmen of our organization.
Of the National Publishers Association?
Yes.
Wow. Mhm.
And very prominent woman in Chicago.
Mhm.
And she just had her 75th anniversary of her newspaper.
Wow.
So my newspaper's a baby, 24 years.
Right.
She's been out there 75 years, or the newspaper's been out there 75 years.
Mhm.
And I did go up because I had my book, up
Right.
there. And it was just a wonderful event.
Mhm.
She had over 1,000 people there.
Oh,
She
wonderful.
had mayors and all politicians and Reverend Jesse Jackson. You name it, they were there.
Mhm.
She's that well known.
Okay.
And just a wonderful person.
Mhm.
And she's from Arkansas.
Oh, I didn't know
Little
that.
Rock, Arkansas, yes.
Okay. Now, is it a family newspaper for her?
Yes,
It
it's
is?
family.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add about getting the word out or anything else going on?
No, I guess I would just like to say that it was really a pleasure learning about all of these African American women publishers.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a true experience. And I would hope that everyone would want to read about it. Getting the word out is in every library in the state of Tennessee.
Oh, wonderful.
So,
Okay. So there's no reason that you
right.
can't learn about
yes,
these
I
women.
think we need to learn more about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
You
All
know.
right. Great. Well, thank you so much for doing it. Thank you for taking time to talk with us today about getting the word out. And you can purchase the book at the Tribune office, 1501 Jefferson Street in Nashville. So call the office first to make sure someone is here. All right. Well, thank you, Mrs. Perry.
You're so welcome.
All right.